And we're back. Wednesday night. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedule to come hang out with me on the lives. We do them every Monday and Wednesday night. We'll keep doing them even after price appreciation for XRP. I don't know if you guys are over there on Twitter or not. Things are starting to get spicy. And I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm also concerned for the reverse carry trade. You know, it's there's going to be a lot of people that end up getting burnt when I'm right about the reverse carry trade and everything that's going to transpire in the not too distant future. And that some of those people have diversified their portfolios or have at least some exposure to things that are going to offset some of the losses that they're going to incur. But yeah, I don't know if, like I told you guys Monday, I was super bullish. I don't think I could be more bullish than I am right now for XRP and everything that we've been talking about. Shout out to the guys over there at Good Evening Crypto, both Johnny and Abs, for having me on last night. I really enjoyed hanging out with them. And they asked some really good questions. If you guys haven't checked out that show that we did last night, I would encourage you to go watch it. They asked some really good questions. They got me to say, you know, $50,000 XRP by the end of Trump's term. And I still believe that. I really do. I think that we're going to be in a very, very different place in the next 2 years as he continues to be in the position that he is. I think a lot of things are going to change in a very short period of time, so rapidly that I don't think many people are going to be able to comprehend the speed at which stuff's going to move from here. So hopefully you're in position. And I should probably preface everything because otherwise my attorneys get grumpy. Nothing stated here is financial advice. It's only for entertainment and educational purposes only. You always want to make sure you're speaking with a financial professional, somebody that's certified to give you financial advice before you make any investment decisions. The opinions stated tonight are my opinions. They're not the opinions of Digital Ascension Group or its subsidiary Digital Wealth Partners, which is an SEC registered RIA. But if you need financial advice for your crypto portfolio, you can absolutely talk to all of our advisors over there at Digital Wealth Partners. I think we're at 17 advisors at this point. We've hired rapidly to meet the demand that we are experiencing, and also I think we'll pick up in the not too distant future as everything kind of unfolds here toward the end of the year, which is what I've been talking about the whole time. You know, a lot of people are getting antsy. We're down to the last 5-6 weeks of the year here, about to move into the holidays, and many people just can't comprehend that price of an asset could move so quickly to the upside from $2 today, where XRP is, up to 3 or 4 digits in that shorter period of time. And normally, under most circumstances, they would absolutely be right. Again, you know, if you do want to go back and watch what I talked about with Johnny and Abs last night, we went into the domino theory, which I've been talking about for 18 months now, that leads to the perfect storm for XRP to move very swiftly to the upside. There was I don't know if you want to call it a glitch or something very interesting. So Kraken, shout out to those guys for their announcement on the filing of their S1 to go public today. Really excited for them. And on their exchange in the last 24 hours, if you want to go look at it, there was a jump in XRP's price all the way to $91 somehow. I wonder if that's just a glitch or maybe it is a prelude to what's coming in the near future. Well, I guess we'll just have to watch and find out. So, you know, we get into all of that and more tonight. I'm sure many people have fantastic questions that they're going to put over here in the chat. Shout out to people on TikTok, X, Facebook, and on YouTube. If you wouldn't mind, please click the like, subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and share this with somebody that you think might find it valuable. We'll go ahead and hop into the questions tonight and run it down for you guys as we do every Monday and Wednesday night here on the live at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We got a 589 super chat to kick it off with. They say, Jake for Mercury Bank, how do I answer these questions? Industry, company type, company description. How do plan to use your Mercury account? So it's good. Those are good questions. So we work with a lot of people to establish a corporation to manage their digital assets, and oftentimes they will want a bank account to be able to transact on behalf of that corporation. Most people, if you reach out to them to set up a crypto company, they will set up a trading corporation. This is not the way that we do it. Excuse me. We set up a holding company that.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay. All right. I'll take the tea. Thank you very much.
And don't miss.
I'll read this one. Thank you. My wonderful wife with the tea in the Christmas cup.
Ho, ho, ho.
Maybe some presents on the way. So back to the question at hand here. Once you establish that corporation, we set it up as a holding company. And we do that for a couple reasons, but you want to benefit from long-term capital gains tax. And if you do it through a trading corporation, you're always going to be subject to income tax on the assets if you generate, if you do any trading of the assets, buy or sell, and there are gains or losses. So, but if you do it through a holding corporation that manages alternative investments with a sleeve for crypto, you could do private equity, you could do some other things for management out of this corporation and hold assets in there. I wouldn't do real estate. You want to segment that liability, but I digress. So we work with people to set that up and to manage their crypto through that corporation. And when you're establishing a bank account, we've seen success with Capital One, with Mercury, and with Old Glory. And when you're setting up that account, you're going to answer it just as you would for what I just described. It's a holding company that manages investments. Make sure you say it's not your investments; it's the company's investments. You are going to pay payroll and other company expenses out of the account. That's what it's there to do. And you should be good as long as you're doing those things. And again, you have your operating agreement. If you work with us, we provide that for you. We provide you a template that you can, have another attorney look over if you want to, but it's pretty well buttoned up. It has a lot of the language in there. We do this, kind of for a living. I think we've set up probably 6,000 LLCs in Wyoming to manage digital assets. And you might ask, well, why would you do Wyoming? Wyoming, because there's four reasons. One, the creditor protection in Wyoming is fantastic. If somebody were to sue the corporation or you have charging order protection on the assets held inside the corporation there. It is the most favorable jurisdiction in the U.S. for digital assets, the most progressive legislation for that. There's no state taxes in Wyoming. So, depending on which state you're in, you're probably still going to have to file a foreign entity in that state. You do not have to have a residence there in Wyoming. We use a registered agent to set that up for you. And then you're also able to use the full breadth of the tax code to be able to mitigate taxes. It does not mean you do not owe taxes. It is a pass-through entity. You will still owe the taxes if you do make sales or use it to produce income. But depending on how you spend that money out of the company, you can mitigate some of those taxes. And we work with our very seasoned CPAs to help people do that. We may have people, you might even be in this position right now where you're down on your positions. If you were to sell and buy right back, the wash rule does not apply to crypto at this time. Per the IRS, they don't have a specific, designation that does. Securities, it absolutely applies to. And if you have a progressive CPA, they will allow you to do that. If you have more of somebody that is cautious, they're going to tell you need to wait 30 days to buy things back because that's the wash rule to capitalize losses. So if you anticipate having capital gains, if you wanted to lock in some capital losses, you can always do that in crypto, in my opinion, at least until the IRS changes that rule. So back to the bank account. Hopefully that provides you the context you need to be able to fill those things out and have those conversations. You do not want to mention crypto in the application or when you're talking to a bank to set this up. This is a holding company that manages alternative investments that might include private equity or real estate or other alternative asset classes. Do not say crypto. Also, when you move your assets in there, people might say, well, how do you do that? Well, you list them on the capital contributions page when you start the corporation. And you can list the wallet that you already have as the capital contribution. So you don't have to send it to a new wallet or buy a wallet with the corporation and then send it over there. We just try to make it as simple as possible for people. So, and you do always, in most circumstances, you want to set up a single member LLC. If you do multi-member, it can cause tax implications. There's some other ways that we help people do that. But anyway, if that's something that's interests you and you want to work with us, again, you don't have to. You can work with other attorneys there in Wyoming. There are other people that do what we do. I would say, as far as maintaining the entity, we have a corporate veil service where we do meeting minutes and board resolution and all the stuff to be able to maintain that corporate veil and maintain the creditor protection. You want to make sure that you have some type of service that goes alongside your LLC with that. Because if you do get sued, that's what you're going to have to present in court to make sure that those assets are separate of you and they aren't subject to seizure or the lawsuit that you're in. So with that, we'll jump on to the next one here. We got Let's Go Dad. They say, Jake, Mastermind member. What? With 5 kids in Cali. Oh, God bless you, sir. With all my XRP in my IRA and the intent to hold indefinitely, what are my options to generate income? How about lending against it? Ooh, I don't know your age. Let's go, Dad. So qualified account really encumbers your ability to leverage the assets. You cannot borrow against the principal inside of a qualified account. That includes IRAs, 401ks, any type of IRA. So SEP, Roth, traditional, whatever it is, you're not going to be able to borrow against it. Now, if you use the assets in there to produce additional income, those can go into a side pocket, and we have ways to be able to leverage that. But the initial principal that's contributed, can't borrow against that. So you're going to have to wait till you're 59 and a half in order to be able to take those distributions without the fees associated with them. You can take them in kind at that point once you're beyond 59 and a half. And then you can use the asset outside of that wrapper to do a lot of things. We do IRAs. There with Digital Wealth Partners. We hold them at Anchorage. We will be rolling out a product in the very near future to be able to generate additional returns and cash on those accounts. So that would be one way that you could generate additional income potentially if you are going to take distributions. They would be subject to taxes depending on what type of IRA you have. If it's a Roth, you were taxed on that capital when it went in. You're limited to how much you can put in to a Roth per year. Unless you do a backdoor Roth, you can convert things and pay taxes from a traditional IRA. But yeah, if you want more information on that, I know enough to be dangerous. You would want to talk with one of our advisors over there at Digital Wealth Partners, and they can absolutely guide you on what would be the best action for you and your family, my man. Would love to work with you. Also, we got Southern Rock Singer. They say, Rockstar Demand. What's going on, brother? I want to start the LLC with DAG. What other costs monthly or yearly would I be looking at aside from the initial to get the LLC going? So we charge an annual fee of $1,000, and that's for the maintenance of the LLC. So that's the state fee, the registered agent, all the other filings and things you need to keep up with, and including your meeting minutes and everything else. We help you make sure that those are addressed so that, again, you can maintain the creditor protection for the LLC. There are other services out there that do it for much cheaper. If you work with us, and you want to keep the entity with us. The other benefit of us filing the LLC, and I didn't touch on this earlier, and one of the other benefits of Wyoming is the anonymity that you get. So when you have your attorney or us file that for you, your name does not appear on any of the public documents, nor does your address. And so therefore, it makes it very difficult for somebody to figure out who's associated with that entity at a later date. You can pay yourself out of it and say, well, I just work for this guy. He's done really well. I don't really know the owner. I've never met him. You play that game. But yeah, so that's an annual fee. It's the only other annual fee that we charge for the maintenance on the corporation that we help people establish. If you work with us over there at Digital Wealth Partners, there are monthly AUM fees that are assessed, and we are working on monthly distributions and the yield product that we should be rolling out in the very near future. So excited about that for people. Right now, we do have quarterly returns out of our hedge fund that people can participate in. Again, if you want to know more about that, you would need to be accredited. but you can talk to our advisors over there at Digital Wealth Partners. Digitalwealthpartners.net is the website. I think there's some other ones out there that people try to scam people with. So just make sure you're putting in digitalwealthpartners.net, and there's an S on partners. Maxwell, he says, Jake, please go over the differences between the basic Mastermind Carbon 1, Carbon 2 level upgrading cost after price goes up. Thank you for this. And again, appreciate you guys. We have so many good people that are part of the Mastermind. We have over 10,000 members there in the Mastermind at beyondbroke.com, which is just, I'm so humbled and grateful and feel so blessed for the community that we've been able to, put together over there. I mean, at this point, it's really just all of the good people that are there. We started it. It's got to start somewhere, but it's taken on a life of its own. It has its own culture. Everybody wants to help everybody. Everybody is kind and professional. If you're looking for a community that will help you with financial advice and give you resources, I think, for the price points, we do more than almost any other mastermind that I've ever been a part of. So with the different levels, like you mentioned, so basic or social, it's $25 a month. You get access to the Discord, you get access to all the events that we run, you get access to all the town halls that we have, and it's social, right? Like you're in it because you want to meet other people that have aligned interest and some cool stuff that they're doing. And at this point, we have people from all walks of life. We have people that are extremely wealthy, that grew up wealthy. We have other people that are high net worth individuals or very successful professionals in their career. We have other people that are just getting started. We have young people in there that want to learn and get better. But everybody's goal is to get better and preserve their wealth and grow their wealth over the long term, and get access to information that you're probably not going to get anywhere else. So that's that's social. We do have in real life events. Anybody in the mastermind's welcome to come to those. We've done at least one a quarter for the past 2 years, almost 3 years at this point. I think our first one was February of 23 that we put it on. We had like 20 people come to that one. It really wasn't that many people. And the last couple events we put on have had 300 plus people at all of them. We've been able to put together dinners for Carbon 2 that are exclusive for that group. So next level is kind of Carbon 1. Carbon 1 gets access to all the business resources on the website. They get access to some other videos and stuff that aren't public. They're also going to get access to private deals that we talk about there in the community. And in that channel, it tends to be a bit more professional. Most of those people have already set themselves up with an LLC. They're a little bit further along with things. They might have, some expertise in one area or another. And then, beyond that, it's Carbon 2. Carbon 2, most of those people are high-level executives or business owners that have some more advanced estate planning that they've gone through, whether that's for their digital assets or their business or real estate or properties or, other investments that they've made. They want to understand a little bit more about insurance and infinite banking and more sophisticated structuring. And that's the main focus of that group. We talk to them about those things, and they also get some additional exclusive deal flow that you're not going to get if you're in the lower tiers. And again, that's not like, I try not to be biased about things, but they just tend to have some more discretionary income. I tend to be higher earners or people with higher net worth that can, participate in said opportunities outside of the scope of digital assets. So sometimes it still, involves digital assets, but oftentimes it's just private equity. So those are the 3 levels that we have today. I think we are going to roll out a more exclusive community that's a little bit higher. But everybody that's in there today, you're locked in at the price points, and we are going to lock it down. Like, we're not taking more members. It will be invite only post price appreciation. And I'm not, I hate fear mongering or hard selling people. I don't like doing that, but I would like to, if you're thinking about joining, tonight might be a really good time to do that. And if you do want to try it out for, a cheap price, You can use the code Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar, get you the first month for $2. And even if you're in that $2, group, you're still locked in at all the prices before we shut it down. So if you want to go check that out, again, it's beyondbroke.com. We have over 10,500 members there and growing rapidly, because I think there are a lot of people that understand that price appreciation is approaching, and we are going to shut the doors. It's going to become much more stringent, and it is going to be invite only. And the price point to be able to participate in that community is going to go way, way up on the other side of price appreciation, to make sure that we are protecting the members there in the community. So again, if you want to join, we would love to have you. And again, the background checks and everything else that's going to happen post price appreciation are going to be much more scrupulous than they are today. We got Low Tide. They say, Jake, thanks for all that you do for the community. Can you explain what it means by XRP getting burnt off every time it's used, and what that means for long-term XRP? Thank you. I joined the Mastermind. Awesome, dude. Glad to have you there in the community with us. So good question. So every single transaction, XRP and uranium are really the only 2 deflationary things in the world. There are less and less of both of those every single day. This person's asked about the Mastermind again. It's beyondbroke.com if you want to go check it out. And again, the code is beyondbroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you the first month for $2 there in the community. So back to the question here. XRP is burnt on every single transaction. It's to the tune of about 5,000 XRP a day. So nothing crazy. I mean, there's 100 billion XRP. At the current burn rate, it would last like 50,000 years or something. It's going to be out there a long time, but it's deflationary. There's literally less and less XRP every single day. Other people, they want a fixed amount of assets. They can never issue more XRP. The origin account is black holed, so nobody has access to that account to be able to mint anymore. On June 2nd, 2012, they minted 100 billion XNS, is what XRP was originally called. And then when they gifted that, OpenCoin gifted 80 billion XRP to Ripple. They changed the name to Ripples. And then when the IMF white paper came out about the exchange rate peg, or XRP, was their abbreviation for that, they then pivoted the Ripples token to XRP. So that's what it's been ever since. That was 2014, 2015 when they made that pivot. But there's never going to be any more. That's it. There's literally less and less every single day. And that's the gas fee on the network. So similar to Ethereum or other protocols, when a transaction happens, there's a small amount of XRP that's burnt during that transaction. It's not that much. You can send, $1 million for less than a penny. It's abysmal in most circumstances, but it does, burn the asset. So that's another reason that over time we will see more and more price appreciation, because there's less and less supply, and I know that there's going to be more and more demand. Excuse me. Southern Rot Singer says SRS is back in order to be prepared for DAG concerning starting the LLC. What will I need handy besides payment? You probably want to have a name. Probably want to have a name that you've thought of. I would make it not to do with crypto, and also nondescript for you and your family. Okay. So you might think of a saying that's near and dear to your heart in your family, or something that means something to you, or you could abbreviate a saying for you and your family, or it could be stuff spelled backwards. I've seen a lot of people get really creative with that, but ideally it wouldn't associate that corporation with you or crypto, because either one of those things could become a target, and they also might be a liability later. So that's the only thing that I can think of that you really need to have thought through when you go to set up the LLC. The rest of it we handle, and the questions are pretty easy for the most part. And again, I didn't mention this, but if you do want to work with us to do it, you can go to digitalfamilyoffice.io and use the code 50OFF, 50OFF DAG LLC. That's 50OFF DAG LLC. Get you everything end to end for your corporation to manage your digital assets there in Wyoming for $2,000. And that covers also the first year of the corporate veil and all the filing fees and everything else. We got This person, because I'm going to butcher their name, I apologize. They say, "Evening, Jake. If the Fed pauses in December, do you think that would delay, speed up, or not change anything timing of the coming liquidity crisis?" I don't know we're going to make it to December. I don't know that we're going to make it to December. I don't know if you guys are watching all the same flashing red indicators that I'm watching, but the yen versus the USD is depreciating fairly quickly. That means inflation is rising there in Japan, and their recourse for that is to raise interest rates, which they've held for more than a year after we started to see the unwind of the reverse carry trade in August of last year. Now, the Fed has come down on our side, which also exacerbates the need or the possibility. I don't think it's a possibility, but the reverse carry trade unwinding. The yields that they're getting on US treasuries are not as attractive as the yields that will be being earned there in Japan in the near future, and that will flip. And when that does, you're going to see a huge amount of US treasuries flood the market. Luckily, we have passed the Stablecoin Act, the Genius Act here in the US, and I think that those will be soaked up. They will stabilize the bond market. They'll issue all the stable coins. No big deal. But the rest of the market's going to feel a rough impact on that. I think it's going to be a 50% haircut pretty much across the board on, it's not going to really matter where your money is. Real estate, stocks, bonds. Bonds will do fine. Crypto, all of the above are going to have some pretty significant implications. So, I think the Fed, if everything shakes out before December, you could actually see the Fed increase interest rates and move back the other direction. I know that's not what people want to hear. But if we did have the velocity of money pickup, that's another factor in inflation. And again, with the jump in the movement of money, right now, the velocity of money is the slowest it's ever been. Most people are hoarding cash. They would, money would start to move much faster across the economy, and they would need some way to quell that inflation. The lever that they could pull would be to raise interest rates at that point. And with the advent of all of these additional technologies and progressive tech, I think that there's going to be, I don't know that there'll be a jump in employment. The other thing that Trump's come out with here recently is the freedom dividend, or the $2,000 a month. It's UBI. Like, we're going to move to a world where there's UBI. You can have whatever feeling you want about that. I don't want to have a philosophical conversation or a political conversation. Just know that that is coming. CMOR, they say, the legend. What's up, man? Thank you for continue to be the crypto Captain America to lead the XRP army. I'll take it. That's a very nice compliment. Thank you. He says, God has blessed what you and your team have built at DWP, and I'm truly a believer your work will echo into eternity. Thank you so much for the kind words, man. I'm one person. Our team is incredible. The people that have seen the vision that my team and I have been building and come on board, they're excited every day to smash through things because it's not always easy. A lot of it is a lot of work, and they hit it head on every day. I mean, they send emails late at night. Everybody's working, 14, 16 hours a day, which is just incredible to see that they are so excited that they're willing to push that hard for what we're trying to build. And you're right. I feel very blessed. And I'm extremely grateful that, we have fantastic clients like you guys. And again, none of this even exists if y'all don't want it. I built this because it's what I wanted for me and my family. I wanted to make sure that we had things in place to protect it and grow our wealth in XRP over the long term. And after I was able to accomplish it for myself, I was like, well, this, I feel obligated to help the community. I feel obligated to help my family, the XRP family. Like, if you've been here and you've been through the hardship that we've experienced over the past 5 years, and you've been fudded out, or like the amount of animosity that other people have toward this community is just absurd in my mind for whatever reason. And we've kept the faith, and we've been able to continue to believe even during times where it didn't look that great. And that's worked out really good for us so far, and I think it's about to work out a really, really good for us in the very near future. So thank you for the kind words, and again, I'll continue to be here with you guys every Monday and Wednesday, even post price appreciation. He says he's back again. Thank you for the super chats, my man. He says, I live in Cali, and when setting up an LLC with Digital Ascension Group, am I able to add my son to be soon to be wife before or after being married? So I actually put out a post about this the other day, and this is gonna be controversial, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I would look at a prenup. I know you love her, but you want to protect things for your kiddos. If you have kiddos, if you don't have kiddos and you're building a life together and you guys are on the same page, no prenup needed. Okay. But it's probably something you should look at. You always want to file, in most circumstances, California actually qualifies as a qualified joint venture state. So there's 15 states that have a QJV exemption. So you and your spouse can be 50-50 owners in an LLC, and it's very similar to a single member LLC. They look at you as one entity. So you're able to, add assets to the corporation without a step up in basis or tax implications if you use that exemption. There are, again, 15 total states, I believe, that have that QJV. For most people, they want to use a single member LLC, and then you would add your spouse as a manager on the corporation so that they would have signing rights, and could also take a salary at some point in the future. So up to you how you want to do it. In your circumstance, I don't think it'll matter either way. You could do it now or later. But with qualified joint venture, you could do it that way, or you can do the single member and add her as a manager later on. It's a good question, by the way. We've got T Lamb. They say, hey Jake, longtime listener, first time caller, and Mastermind member. Awesome, dude. Got the LLC set up, and I'm wondering what additional corporate structures for properties and overall management company might look like. Seems like tax shelter is limited in crypto LLC alone. Again, it's pass-through corporation or pass-through entity. So you're going to file as an S corp. You have to pay yourself a reasonable salary, somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000 a year that you're going to pay W-2 taxes on. So you're going to owe that additional 13.5% tax from the corporation on those wages. But anything in addition to that, you can take out as distributions, which would not be subject to the employment taxes for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Now, in long-term corporate structuring, I actually have a video that's in the Mastermind on the website, if you're in Carbon One, that you can view, that talks about the long-term structures and things that we look at for people. And again, it's kind of situation dependent. I hate the attorney answer that, it depends, but it really does. There's a lot of situational awareness that you need in order to structure things appropriately for people, where they live, where they want to live, their kids, the other assets that they have, their long-term goals. Do they have any philanthropic interest? All of these things can play a role in mitigating taxes and structuring your estate the right way. And you want to work with professionals to make sure that you know what you're doing. And we have those people, again, at Digital Ascension Group. I've been really blessed to, I don't want to say assimilate, that's not the right word, but partner with really good people inside of our corporation and outside our corporation to help structure all of these things appropriately for our clients. So I would set up a consult, and we could have a further conversation about it. You're probably not going to be looking at that until you're worth 20 million or more. And at that point, you should definitely be looking at it. You should be looking at trust. You should be looking at insurance. You should be looking at possibly a C Corp as your management corporation that doesn't have ownership of the underlying subsidiaries, but has your living trust on the cap table and has management agreements with the LLC that owns the digital assets, which also might have, an asset protection trust associated with it. You could use the Rockefeller method. There's a lot of things that you can do. But if you want to watch that video that's in the Mastermind, it's on the website if you're in Carbon One, and I think that would clarify a lot of things for you. A lot of people here in the chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out again on Wednesday night with me. And again, super bullish tonight. Like I cannot impress upon you how bullish I am. We got the XRP ETF from Bitwise going live tomorrow. Like their ticker is XRP. How wild is that? We've got all these other ETFs lined up. We got ISO going live on the 22nd. Not that that's specifically associated with XRP. It's a messaging system, but there might be a corollary there. You've also got Epstein documents coming out in the very near future, which might be associated with Bitcoin, maybe Tether. We'll see how all that shakes out. And then you got the reverse carry trade unwinding pretty much all at the same time. And I'm still waiting on oil. I'm still going to beat the oil drum. Okay. The interest rates on the bonds there in Japan can continue to creep up. You're going to need a big jump in inflation. And that's going to be the match that sets off the bomb that knocks over all the other dominoes. Okay. And I don't know if that's going to be in Venezuela. I don't know if it's going to be in Russia. I don't know if it's going to be in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. If there's something to do with the Strait of Hormuz, they did seize a boat there the other day. So I don't know. All those things are lined up though. And if it's not one, it'll be one of the other ones that will cause a big jump in price of oil, and everything will cascade from there. So really exciting end of the year here in 2025. And he's named off some of the things here. We got Chris, 88. I like the 88, man. 8 is the number of wealth. And 88 is the speed for Back to the Future. So lots of good vibes there. He says, Jake, the JPY 10-year just hit 1.802. Reverse carry trade at 2% or 3%. Your domino theory seems to be aligned with the stars logically. Thoughts on Western Union using Sol versus Ripple? A couple questions there. So Western Union was compensated by Solana for a 6-month contract. They move about, I don't know what the number was. I think it was like $50 billion a year, which sounds like a lot of money. And it is a lot of money, but it's not trillions of dollars a day like Swift. So my buddy just sent me a text message. It's pretty funny. On the domino theory piece, it needs to be a percentage move in the yields on the bonds over there. So it's not a certain amount. Although the higher it climbs, the more likely it is to go. And at some point, people are going to yell fire in the theater and everybody's going to run for the door. But I do believe it's going to be oil that causes a jump, 10 to 15% move in yields over there because of the spike in inflation that they're going to see in their economy. And they're going to have to raise interest rates. And at that point, the Bank of Japan isn't at fault. They'll have a scapegoat that they can point to and say, well, we had to do this because, if we didn't, we would have had these other problems. And then it's kind of not their fault type thing. I don't think anybody wants to be at fault for this one. So whoever they pin it on will also probably be strategic as well. But that's what I'm looking for over there. We got Greenhorn. He says, hey, Jake, can you explain your theory on why so many XRP ETFs seem out of the norm to me? Seems out of the norm to me. Thank you for all that you do and your team. Blessings. We need a lot of demand all at one time for the perfect storm to unfold here. And again, like I come out and say these high prices, okay? And then headlines pick them up and they say, Jake Claver said this price by this date. They don't say how or why, what has to happen in order for it to get there. Although I do think these things are going to actually happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't come out and give any type of timeline associated with the prices I'm pointing to. But the ETFs play a big role in that. I think we're going to have somewhere between 10 and 14 spot ETFs that are all launched in a very short period of time or right on top of one another that cause a significant demand for the asset alongside of other situations in global macroeconomics, which also demand that the asset be used. And in that circumstance, again, you might get one of those Kraken type moments where it jumps to $90, just like that. The order book's very thin up there. And it would be moving very quickly to the upside. And the other piece of this is this belief has also been cultivated in the XRP community. Am I doing some of that? Sure, that's fair. but it's going to cause people to hold the asset. They're not going to be selling it $5, $10, $15, $20. They believe that the price is going to go much, much higher.
The Mastermind website crashed. I know everybody's asking on both channels. So
Oh, okay.
You need to tell them just the code's still good. Just hold on.
Okay. Apparently the volume on the Mastermind website is higher than we had anticipated, and so it's down for a little bit. I apologize for any technical difficulties. You can get in there. The code will still be good when you get in there. But I do think, again, good call on moving quickly toward that. Appreciate you guys and excited to see you guys in there. We have a couple calls we have one every Saturday morning. We have another one on Monday that are exclusive, separate of any media out here. And I do share some things there that I definitely don't share publicly. So if you're interested in that, love to have you over there in the group. So again, all of those ETFs launching at one time, culminating with all the other things that are going to happen and transpire. I'm pretty confident we're going to see the price gap to a much higher spot, and then stay there because it'll start being used and there'll be sustained volumes over the network. And we're not going to see that 90% drawdown anymore. You're going to see a very high price XRP that's stable. Let's go Muddin. How are you, sir? He says, brother man, if you didn't make the bet with scams, would you bet the same bet today? Yeah, I take the same bet today. I don't know. I try not to have an ego about things. Everybody has an ego, right? Scams, again, took that XRP from other people that I don't necessarily think had the XRP to bet him. And the outcome of our bet, irrespective of who wins, is those people get paid back. And that's what matters to me at the end of the day. I just want people made whole. Again, I've been very blessed. And if I'm able to help the little guy, like that's been the point of this whole thing. When we had originally started Beyond Broke Mastermind, the stated goal I had 4 years ago when I started that, originally with a Facebook group of like 5 people, was to help 1 million people become financially free. And I don't know that I'll get there in my lifetime, but through what we've established and what we've built with Digital Ascension Group and Digital Wealth Partners and all the subsidiaries that we have to be able to help manage people's money and protect it and grow it over time, I'm hopeful that we really will impact at least 1 million people through multiple generations to helping people preserve the asset and grow their wealth and protect it. It'll change their kids' lives. And that's what gets me. That's what gets me up and going every single day. But anyway, so back to this deal. I want to help the little guy. And that's the reason I made the bet with scams. But yeah, I would make the bet again. And other people will say, well, we're almost to the end of the year. I know that. I'm aware. But I would, again, there's a lot of reputational risk for me to come out and talk about these numbers and the time frames. Again, I always give it with the caveat of certain things have to happen. People don't hear that part, but that is there. But I would make the bet because I'm confident that those things play out in the very near future. We talked about this one already. Apologize. Come on down. Actually, I have another one here from my wife that she wrote down for me from Emmett. So Emmett says, are you concerned ETFs are going live after ISO does? This doesn't leave much liquidity in XRP for cross-border payments, which suggests the price doesn't need to be that high to support it. Or do you need the other factors as well to drive the price up? ETFs alone, again, like I stated on the deal with Abs and Johnny last night, 10, 15 bucks. If they were like slowly trickled out over time and you didn't have all the additional demand from exchanges, from the back-end settlement of the stock market, from SBI in Japan for the FX market, when they get slammed, they need a liquidity buffer there. From the rotation out of the Bitcoin ETFs into the XRP ETFs, I think people are significantly underestimating the volume of money and demand that's going to flow into XRP all at the same time. But again, ISO is not correlated with XRP, just so you guys know. Like it is a standardized messaging system that is a prelude or precursor to instant settlement. That has to be in place before they can start using the asset to settle things real time. And with that going live, it doesn't matter to me that there's some ETFs that go live after that. That needs to be in place first for them to start using it in that capacity. Now, do they drive price way up and start immediately using it when that goes live? Possibly. Do they taper it up right after so that they're able to use it after that's in place and everybody's live with it? Possibly. But it's really interesting to me that all these ETFs are also lined up right around these dates. Who planned that? I don't know.
Tell them about the scammers and the masterminds.
Oh, okay. My wife has reminded me to remind you guys that when you're joining the mastermind, and you should be able to use the site again now, that you may people may message you that look like me. I don't have time to message people. I really wish that I did. On anything. I spend 14 to 16 hours a day working, working with my team, working with partners, working with PR, doing podcasts. Like, my time is, like, if you saw my calendar, people would puke. I bet most people would puke. So I wish I had the time to get onto social media to message people and DM people. If you get anything on any channels that look like it's supposedly from me, it's a scam. Whether that's Discord, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, doesn't matter. They're all scammers. Okay. Now, if you DM us, we will answer you. If you DM my account, I will answer you. My team will answer you. But we are not going to actively message other people. So just be aware of that. Make sure that you're, not getting scammed by somebody out there. And if anything seems fishy, I'm never going to ask you for your XRP. I don't work at Digital Wealth Partners. I own the firm. I don't work there. I don't have any controls or oversight on anything there at Digital Wealth Partners. We have a president, Erin Freeze, that we just promoted to the board. She's the chairman and president. Max Kahn is our CEO. All of our advisors are over there. We have a chief COO. We have a chief compliance officer. We have data and security. Like, it is its own separate corporation. I don't manage any of the money there. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have access to the accounts. It's not me. So I'm never going to ask you for your XRP. And it's only ever going to be over email with our advisors over there to help you onboard into Anchorage through our partner. So that is your portal. You'll be able to see everything. So again, if it looks like me messaging you and I say anything about your XRP or your other crypto, it's a scam. Block, report them, please. Lawson, Mr. Massey, they say, hey, Jake, with the shamans, have the shamans whispered anything to you in the last few days? Also, the 10-year bonds in Japan. There was an interesting tweet. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Reese put out a tweet a little bit earlier. And sometimes it's not as direct, but his tweet from Reese Merrick, just so you know who he is, I probably butchered his last name, on Twitter over there. He's a senior executive officer, managing director of the Middle East and Africa for Ripple. And he posted, and then the dominoes started falling, ... with dominoes falling. Somebody, I think, came out with a domino theory like 18 months ago. So if you want to talk about, wink or nod, some of those things just make you go, I don't know if that's what you're looking for or not, but it's what I got for you tonight. We've got Mayhem James. They say, Jake, bringer of light. Thank you. I will take that compliment. Thank you, sir. Just joined the mastermind. Awesome, dude. Does Canary really need to buy $245 million of XRP right away or over time? OTC or exchange? How much is available on OTC? What is OTC versus escrow? Thought the judge said Ripple can't sell OTC. So Ripple can sell, and they have been selling to Vivo Power. They have to do it a specific way, which is basically what the judge stated in there. And some of their early trades, the way that they did it, violated, I think, it was like Section 5 of whatever statute, and that's why they were fined the $50 million. And then they moved on and settled that case. Canary does have to buy that much. They did have some that they had on their balance sheet before the ETFs went live, but that is inflows. Those are daily inflows, and they're required to maintain their peg to whatever the ratio is of XRP they're supposed to hold per share. So they are actively going out on the market and buying OTC or through dark pools currently. And a lot of their volume was in kind early on for seeding that ETF as well, just like many others. So yes, the answer is yes. They do need to buy that OTC. Eventually, the OTC market is going to dry up and dark pools will dry up. And so with that, they would then have to move to exchanges, and that's what will start to move the price substantially higher because the order book's thin. There's not enough liquidity on exchanges for billions of dollars of inflow in a very short period of time. And that's what we are going to see when the rest of these ETFs launch. I think Canary is doing their job of eating up a lot of that capital in the OTC market right now. Same thing with a few other XRP ETFs that have already been launched. But as soon as you will know, believe me, when they run out of OTC XRP, you're going to see huge volumes across the exchanges pick up for people buying XRP there. And the escrow from Ripple is locked up. They only get a distribution at the first of the month. It's time locked, and it's $1 billion at a time, billion XRP at a time. This year they have re-escrowed about 700 million every single month onto the back end of the escrow and put about 300 million each month onto the market, which is effectively, somewhere between $2 and $3. You got 600 million to $1 billion a month that Ripple is, taking in by selling that XRP. I don't make any bones about that. Other people, want to poo-poo on that. Their stated mission is to make XRP the global reserve bridge currency. It benefits them if it goes up in value. So, they are suppressing price and holding price stability so that they can trial it and use it. But when they want it to move higher, you can bet your biscuits it's going to. Mirren says, legend, new to Carbon One. I had a question on the correct way to gift my XRP now to families. For some reason, I don't think it's as easy as just moving it into another cold wallet. Aren't there tax implications now? Thanks. So if it's less than $19,000 per person, you're good. You're just going to let your accountant know when they file your taxes. That's a annual gift exemption that you can gift to other people here in the US. And as long as the value of the assets at the time that you gifted it or moved it into that other wallet was less than $19,000 per person, you're good to go. So yeah, it kind of is that simple. You would just need to notify your CPA. So if they need to fill out a Form 709, they can. A lot of people here in the chat tonight. Again, appreciate you guys taking time out of your Wednesday to come hang out with me. I think this is the most people we've ever had over here on TikTok. Appreciate you guys. I know I don't pay enough attention over here to TikTok. I'm answering all the super chats over here on YouTube. But you guys really are appreciated, and I do appreciate you, hanging out with me. And every once in a while, I'll glance over and catch a good question. So this person says, "No, you don't." I really do. I need to get better about coming over here and answering questions on TikTok too. Hey, everybody's hating on me now over here on TikTok, telling me I don't care about them. If you don't, I do care. I need to be better about it. I'm sorry. We got Rockin' HL. They say you've been taking a lot of heat here lately on X. Keep on keeping on. I appreciate your efforts and your team. Thank you for the super chat and the kind words, my man. Look, I know that this is going to happen, right? And that's just part of what I signed up for. I can't help all the people that I want to help if I'm going to be afraid of a little negativity. And I'm not perfect by any means. Okay. Like I don't walk on water. I am not Jesus. But I have very large goals and ambitions in my life, and I want to help a lot of people. And that's going to require me to put myself out here. And sometimes people aren't going to agree with me, and that's okay. I really don't mind that. Actually, as long as it is a respectful debate, I will have plenty of conversations with people. And sometimes we walk away and we still don't see eye to eye. And that's, again, okay. Not everybody has to agree with me, and I'm okay with being a little polarizing also. There's really not anybody that's achieved much in their life that isn't somewhat polarizing. And a lot of people have become martyrs or, had death because of that, which I'm also aware of. So I hope that's not the case, but anyway, I expect the negativity. That's okay. It's just part of the gig, and it will continue. And again, I will just keep focusing on what I can do to be successful in my mission, which is to provide as much value as I possibly can for people and help them preserve and grow their wealth over the long term. Nico, they say people are still saying that laws still got to be passed, even if the reverse carry trade unwinds, no matter what. See, and this is probably like, I've had just other conversations that other people haven't had. And so I think maybe I have context that other people don't. And I talked about R3 when I was on there with Johnny and Abs last night. When we talked to them, they said XRP had clarity for them. And if you want to go look at their cap table, it was all the large banks that invested in R3 and helped build Corda. So I'm going to take their word over some dude on the internet that really doesn't know what's going on. And to the point that I made last night, if that is passed, there are other competitors to XRP. But if they didn't want there to be other competitors to XRP, the lawsuit makes a lot more sense now as to why they would have gone through that and be the first one through the door and have full clarity here in the US as not a security, while everybody else is still left behind until the Clarity Act is passed by Congress. And if there were to be a liquidity crisis in a situation where such asset might be needed, there would only be one option at that point. And there is only one option now that the dominoes are starting to fall. We got Fly Girl. She says, "Hey Jake, thank you so much for all that you do. How do we know when the reverse carry trade starts? And do you think it'll happen in the next 2 weeks? I'm still waiting on oil. I know that the bond yields are creeping up over there and they're starting to become more aggressive to the upside. I still think that hairpin trigger is going to be oil that causes inflation in their economy. It'll be the thing that tips everything over. Now I could be wrong. Maybe Bank of Japan just takes it on the chin and they are the one that causes this thing to unwind. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they need a scapegoat, and so it could absolutely happen in the next 2 weeks. I'm still very confident here in 2025 that we're going to see a lot of things shift abruptly and a lot of volatility in the market. And you will know when the reverse carry trade starts to unwind. Everybody knew last time. The Nikkei, I got to say it the right way, fell substantially the night before. And then we saw that bleed into the US stock market the next day. And it was 13% down in the S&P in one single day. And that was only about $2 trillion that was unwound. There are reports now that show, somewhere between 15 and 20 trillion dollars that are currently outstanding to the Bank of Japan on those notes. And if that really is the case, again, I don't think a 50% drawdown across all markets is really out of line with what's going to happen. East Coast Enterprises, they say LLC DBA East Coast contracting. What's up, JC? I only have 4,000 XRP at this time and already have a Wyoming holdings company. Can you work with that? Not on the wealth management side, not yet. Okay. We want to democratize access to institutional custody through Anchorage, believe me, but it's got to be economical. We do have fees. I've got to pay overhead. And so that's why and there's compliance and there's a bunch of other things that go into that. Okay. So 50,000 XRP is our current minimum, which would sit at about $100,000 today in XRP. As XRP appreciates, we will likely raise the dollar minimum. There's going to be some benefit to people in the mastermind. So if you want to go over there, you're probably going to take precedent over people that are not in the mastermind post price appreciation. And, again, I got to work with compliance on that. We got to figure that out. So cut me some slack there, but, unfortunately we can't work with you at the wealth management just yet. Now when XRP is $100 and you've got, what does that end up being? $400,000, probably still going to be a bit shy if I'm just being honest. Like, I don't want to set expectations we're going to have an onslaught of people that want to onboard. And when we announce the other products that we have in the near future, I wish I could tell y'all the craziness that's going to ensue. So, I know a lot of people have held off funding their accounts or are waiting to onboard till price appreciation. It's going to be a while. Like, I'm going to continue to scale up systems and teams over there. But I anticipate, 5, 6, 10,000 people all trying to onboard at the same time. It's going to be very difficult to get to that many people all at once. So the people that are proactive, you're going to get access to stuff much faster than people that have waited. And again, the smaller amounts, we're working on ways to figure that out. Believe me, I have multiple other partnerships that we're working on to be able to accommodate. I want to be able to help, 50 or 100,000 XRP holders at scale, which logistically, like just for reference, Bessemer Trust that manages 155 to 160 billion dollars, they have 3,000 employees across 22 locations in the US. And I think they have one in the Caymans or Virgin Islands. We've got 50 employees right now, and we're scaling as fast as we can, believe me. But to hire good quality people and make sure that they're trained correctly and do all the things that we need to maintain the level of service that we want to provide people is going to be difficult when there is, price appreciation in a very short period of time and so many people want to onboard. And we're going to do our best. So if you guys could give us some grace and patience, we want to work with everyone. We want to help everybody. But it is going to be like champagne problems, right? I asked for it. And we've built it, and I know that it works. And we have, 2,500 happy clients there at Digital Wealth Partners. But to be able to service that many people and make sure that they get the service that we want to be known for, it's going to take us some time, and it's going to be difficult. Oh, my wife's on top of it tonight. She's giving me all the goodies. We do have a webinar tomorrow that I will mention here. It is for veterans and first responders. It's on the 20th tomorrow, I think at 10 a.m. And there is a Lumen link if you're in the mastermind that's been shared there that you can absolutely attend. It's for estate planning and wealth management if you are in that demographic. And we just want to thank you for your service. We had Veterans Day in this month, not too long ago. And just want to say thank you guys for all that you do for your community and our country. I have, a couple people in my family that have served, and it takes a toll. So thank you for all that you guys do. And we're excited to put that webinar on to help you guys. We got Wake the Fork Up. Wake up, Uncle Danny. He says, legend. Beyond Work Mastermind, DWP, Anchorage, custody member. Awesome, dude. We know the reverse carry trade is super close, yet we need price appreciation. How do they slow this reverse carry trade down until the ETFs shock the system and give XRP price appreciation before she blows? Stay amazing, legend. Appreciate you, man. I don't know how to tell you guys they're going to time all this without telling you guys they're going to time all this. Like to see the convergence of everything that I've been talking about for the perfect storm for XRP come together right at the right time. It's kind of surreal. Like I don't know. I thought all these things would happen, and I didn't, they're dominoes, right? So which order are the dominoes in? I could see all of them, and I can see them all lined up. But for this to actually be converging and all of them to be lined up exactly at the right time for me to be correct on this deal, not that I doubted anything, but like, I don't know. It's really cool to see that everything is lining up right here for this moment in the next potentially few days with everything that's transpiring. So head on a swivel, pay attention. It's going to move fast when it goes. We got Zach. He says, Jake, what makes you more bullish today than Monday? Give us the rundown on your thought process. Merry Christmas. Just again, I put out back in February that Epstein might be associated with Bitcoin. Sure enough, I think that may end up being the case. I don't know what implications that's going to have, but it can't be good. There have been other ETFs that have been delisted because of sanctions. It would be kind of unprecedented for them to have, political affiliations or like child trafficking or whatever else be associated with an asset and then delist that. That's not something that's occurred before. But sanctions, yeah. If they were to sanction a protocol or a network because it became associated with human trafficking, that's definitely a reason to delist things. A lot of people have a lot of apprehension to that. That's very fair. Again, that's complete speculation on my part. But alongside just the ETFs, like what's got me really jazzed up tonight is the ticker for Bitwise ETF is XRP. Like, how did they get that ticker? All of them are XRP something else. They got XRP is launching tomorrow as a stock or ETF that's tradable on the NASDAQ. Or maybe it's the New York Stock Exchange. I don't remember which one they're listing on. But like the momentum that we have at this point for demand for XRP outside of Ripple is growing exponentially day by day. And that's what we need for them to drain the OTC and the dark pools and to see that volume show up on exchanges. And again, with, Kraken with their S1 filing for their IPO and that glitch to $91 yesterday that like shows up. Like if you go look at the high and the low over the last 24 hours, it shows $91 for XRP. Like there's been other glitches on exchanges and stuff, but I don't think it's ever actually like registered. It registered. So for it to gap up like that, again, I just feel like things that make you go, we've got David. He says, legend, just joined the Mastermind Carbon One. Awesome, dude. Glad to have you in there. Thrilled to be here. Should we be investing into ETFs at all as price appreciation? Thanks, dude. If you've got a 401k, I don't think that that's a bad move. It's difficult to get exposure inside of that type of retirement account currently. They still haven't adapted a lot of the other accounts to be able to facilitate that. We just got that news maybe a month ago that 401ks can hold crypto. So this is an easy way inside your stock portfolio to get that allocation inside of your 401k or another qualified account. You are going to pay fees on the ETF versus holding the underlying asset or the bearer asset itself, but it is in institutional custody. And now we have an ETF paying a 3% dividend. Wild. So you can get upside on XRP and get a 3% dividend. Like, I don't know how much better it's going to get than that on ETFs. We obviously have opportunities at Digital Wealth Partners to do better than that. But there is a little bit of risk associated with those things too. It's not like it's a guaranteed amount. Now, in the near future, we will have a CD type product that might have a very competitive rate to that is guaranteed. So, and again, nobody else is going to be able to do that. What's wild to me is, we've positioned ourselves to kind of be the conduit for high net worth individuals, family offices, and retail that hold large amounts of XRP to be able to get access to liquidity pools and DeFi products and other institutional options to be able to generate returns and yield on their XRP through Digital Wealth Partners. Anybody else that's in the market, Evernorth, obviously doing that through an ETF, and people will be able to make an allocation of their stock portfolio to that DAT and be able to get access to those things. But it's indirectly, right? It's through a derivative. You're making an investment in a corporation that's then going to be doing those things on your behalf to be able to pay you a return. It's not your XRP that you can put in. Like, you can't contribute XRP into that DAT. With us, you will be able to contribute your XRP and hold it over the long term with no counterparty risk, no volatility risk, and generate returns and or yield on your XRP, which is exactly what I've been trying to create for years. Like, to see it come to fruition, again, just surreal moment to live in right now, and have it ready before the price moves. Like, we've been working on this day and night for years to be in a position to be able to facilitate this for people, and we're here, and it's just really cool. We are already an hour in. If you guys want to stop the super chats now, I'm just going to be real. I'm probably not going to get to them all. I'm going to do my best, but if I don't want people to spend money and me not to get to their super chat. So if you haven't put in a super chat yet, I probably won't get all the way down to the list to it. And so I'm just going to go ahead and mitigate that risk of you spending money and then not getting an answer. Dave, you're going to be the last one, my man. He says, Dave, just Dave. Appreciate you on the super chat, my dude. Oh, well, I got one more. Staffy, I can't skip. Thank you so much for $50. Like, that's incredible. Evening, fearless leader. And to your lovely wife, the T Queen. Uphold listed EWT late this evening, 61 trillion market cap. It appears BTC has been officially dethroned. Mystery domino, tinfoil hat. What role could this play in rotation or decoupling? I don't even know what that is. And people said that you could never get to a $61 trillion market cap. Maybe it's just to set a precedent that things are about to change drastically for crypto as a whole and the asset class and the market caps that people are going to be used to seeing. I think that that's what it is. I think it's just setting precedent. We got Anthony D. He says, can I borrow against my Anchorage account under personal name because they haven't approved the LLC yet and don't want to miss adding to my bag? It depends on what state you're in. You cannot do it through Anchorage. But we do have a direct partnership through the Mastermind to be able to get you access to loans if you do want to do that. I'm not advocating that you take leverage. I am also, again, you're doing it at your own risk. There are margin calls. If we see a big downside before we see upside, you could lose your assets. So just be aware of those things if you are going to take that risk. But if you are a member of the Mastermind and you are Carbon One, you do get access to our exclusive partnership to be able to borrow against your XRP that's not anywhere else. There's nobody else that has that. So again, you're doing that at your own volition and at your own risk. We are not advocating for it, but we do have the partnership to be able to facilitate it in your personal name, depending on what state you live in, through the Mastermind, if that's something you want to do. And you can be funded in as little as 45 minutes. It's very fast. Sapphire, it's a cool name. Hi, Jake. Your dedication is appreciated so much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I get a lot of fulfillment from this. I enjoy having the questions and hanging out with you guys Monday and Wednesday nights. But if you guys didn't care about what I had to say or come in here and ask good questions, then it doesn't really matter. So again, super grateful for the community, for you guys taking time out of your evening to come on here, and pay a little bit of money and ask questions. Certain says, do you think there will be enough time between the ETF price appreciation and the 50% dump to sell off some XRP and repurchase at lower prices? I'm not going to bank that trade. I'm not going to fool with that. It's like trying to catch a falling knife. I think dollar cost averaging is your best bet. Buys and sells. Traders, 96% of traders lose money, just so you know. So if you're trying to time the market, you're probably not going to win. They have bots, they have algorithms, they have institutional traders that you're trading against. You're probably going to lose. And they have all the information from all the exchanges. They have everything from Robinhood and Webull. They know what retail is doing and they bet against you and win. So best bet on XRP or any other digital asset that you think is going to appreciate substantially over time. Buy and hold, continue to dollar cost average when you can. Maybe you're a better trader than I am. I've tried to trade. It's not my game. My anxiety is way too high. I feel like I got to watch the thing the whole time. It's not my game. But if you wanted to set a limit order with some cash, but selling XRP to buy back, I think you might get left behind if you try that swing trade. It's not worth it to me, personally. Neil says, good evening. if I want to pay for the LLC now, how long could I wait on funding the business? Thank you. God bless. So up to 3 years, really. You can have a, what's the disregarded? You can have a disregarded entity for up to 3 years before the IRS will come knocking. Just file that at the end of the year with your CPA that no money was made for the corporation. And you would still want to contribute the initial capital, but as far as like paying expenses or doing anything with it, you could just use it for the creditor protection, as long as you're maintaining meeting minutes and notes and board resolutions, and you issue the stock and do everything you're supposed to. It's not stock; it's equity units. So for the LLC, but yeah, I mean, you can let it sit there for 2 or 3 years with really no issue. So better to have it done and not need it. Other thing is seasoning in bank accounts. I don't know how much time we have left now, but if you did have an LLC set up beforehand and you had a bank account for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, it's going to be a lot easier to send large amounts of money to that bank account versus spinning up a bank account and sending 7, 8, 10 figures to it, whatever you're going to cash out. Hopefully you guys make a bunch of money. I think you will. If you send that from a crypto exchange or from crypto to that bank account, they're going to flag it, especially if it's in your personal name. Like absolutely, if it's in your personal name. If you've never had that amount of money moving through your bank account before. Now, if you're a private client and you have a large business and you've moved large funds through your accounts before, you're probably fine. But if you're just a normal guy that's got a W-2 that's gone heavy on this deal and swung at an opportunity, and you do cash out a large portion or start making large amounts of income and moving that to a bank account that's brand new and opened, you're running that risk. So again, that's why we've continued to advocate for this and work with people to set these things up far beforehand, because the longer you have things open, the easier things are when you do have that liquidity event. Shane, what's up, man? He says, Jake, the gun show legend. I mean, it's not bad. They're okay. Like 18. I don't know. Not as big as it used to be. Carbon One and Anchorage, awesome. The wife and I just wanted to say thank you to the tea lady and you. What's your favorite meal? It's a unique question. I appreciate that. My wife is wonderful. She brings me the tea. And tonight it's in a Christmas cup. Pretty interesting. So what is my favorite meal? I'm from Texas. And so as you could probably imagine, I eat a lot of red meat. I have my whole life. A good steak and maybe sushi or seafood. What my wife says, I can hear her in the background. Hold on. My favorite is any meal that my wife cooks for me. She's beautiful and wonderful, and she always makes fantastic. She really does cook well, though. That's one of the reasons I keep her around. She is a very good cook. She actually made some really good stuff tonight. We had what do we have tonight? Mashed potatoes and turkey meatballs with gravy. It was very good. Southern cooking. We've got the rocket surgeon. Wow. So you're like a rocket scientist and a brain surgeon. That's a unique combination. Probably like my business partner, Max. He's extremely intelligent. He says, Jake, the tea lady, hi to both of you. What's a believable job title for us to say we would working for the LLC, W-2? Is it plausible for a 6-figure income without having any of these series licenses? Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a rocket scientist and a brain surgeon, so I'm just playing. You could be director or managing director. You could be president. You could be CEO. Any of those are fine, honestly, because you are managing the investments in the corporation. You are the matriarch or patriarch that made the money and are managing those investments. So CIO, you could be chief investment officer. There's a bunch of things you could be that are all believable for managing, the investments through the corporation. This person, Skeeknut, probably butchered that. They say, "Hey Jake, long term, how closely and how quickly do ETF prices follow XRP prices? What's the downside of ETFs over XRP ownership directly? Thank you." They trade 1-to-1 on the NAV, or the net asset value. So each stock that's issued, it has to maintain a peg to a certain number of XRP. Somebody messaged me the other day and they said, "Why would I buy a $20 stock when I could buy a $2 XRP? It's the same thing." Well, there's 10 XRP per share of the stock. So every dollar, every stock that you buy, it's worth 10 underlying XRP. The difference over there on the ETFs is you're going to pay fees to the issuer, and that's how they make money on those structured products. If there are staking or DeFi applications that are applicable over the long term, there may be ETFs that pay a dividend, like the one that was launched here recently. It's a 3% dividend paying ETF. I don't know that you'll ever make dividends in kind. I don't think there'll ever be, I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong on that, for somebody to be able to pay dividends out of the ETF in kind. Most of the ETFs are not redeemable in kind. All of them are cash at this point. It'd be cool. Again, that'd be another great feature for somebody to launch an ETF that was redeemable in kind for the XRP. But you are going to pay fees. It's through your brokerage account. You're not going to have discretion over that XRP on how you use it or what it's invested in. But it also, you don't have the additional risk of holding it yourself or managing it. You're counting on that counterparty to do it, and that's why you're paying them a fee to do so. But it's always going to trade 1-to-1 with the underlying asset. So if we saw 1,000x on XRP, you would see 1,000x on the ETFs, because they are trading at a 1-to-1 net asset value, based on their ratio of stock per how many shares per XRP is listed in the S1 filing. We already did that one. Did this one too. Do I have any questions over here on TikTok that I missed? I'm going to try to be better about this. I'm going to go over here and answer one of these. Why do you think XRP dropped today, and should I just buy more at this price? I bought more today, so that's up to you. I can't tell you what to do. Again, nothing here is financial advice. But I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot lower than where we're at. If we do, it's going to be difficult to buy it if there's market volatility. We saw that during 1010. A lot of the exchanges didn't allow people to buy XRP when it was back down under $2 there for a short period of time. There was a lot of people attempting to buy on exchanges and couldn't get through. So RJ, my man, I actually went to high school with RJ. You guys don't know Mr. Pettigrew, but good to see you in here, dude. Hope you're doing well. He says, "Jake, haters are going to hate. We're riding with you. What's the target for the JPY 10-year on the reverse carry trade?" Very cool, dude. Thank you. That's cool to see you, man. I don't know what the target's going to be. I just know that it's going to be an aggressive move to the upside. So again, waiting on oil. If we see oil spike, that's going to cause significant inflation there. In Japan, and that's going to be their scapegoat for them to have to aggressively raise interest rates. So, I think if we saw a 10 to 15% rise in a very short period of time, we've already seen 6-7% in just the last few days here. It's not quite enough. We need double-digit move in a 24-hour period, in my personal opinion, in order to really kick that off and see people start to freak out and move money very aggressively to repay those loans. Again, hope you're doing well, dude. Good to see you on here. NM Hawk says, if Bitcoin is mentioned in Epstein files, it will tank. I tend to think so too. We haven't seen the catalyst to really pull Bitcoin down on this cycle. It's possible that we have topped. It's highly likely that we have topped this cycle for Bitcoin, just based on previous cycles and how things have worked, you guys can go check out Blockchain Backer. He's probably the one person that I look at when, as far as TA goes. He sold 50% of his positions because he's still concerned that there's further downside in the market. I think there is for most tokens when we see the reverse carry trade unwind, or if we do get some actual news that ties Epstein to Bitcoin and Tether. It's going to get ugly really quick. And if that is exacerbated by the reverse carry trade or all the other things that could be coinciding, and we've got the ETFs launching at the same time and ISO going live at the same time, I could not dream up a more perfect scenario for XRP and the price appreciation to happen here at the end of the year, like I've been talking about the whole time, in a very, very short period of time. So anyway, exciting times to be alive. Again, super surreal to be here. Jet, he says, how do you feel about XRP having the first 32,000 ledgers missing from the ledgers network? I think that's a very interesting point you make. And they are. You can't go back and look at them. And a lot of people will point to that as like mysterious or like bad. My thought on that is, I think they're trying to hide something, which, right, again, sounds malicious. But if there's something in those first 32,000 ledgers that would show that this is going to be the thing, if Elon's associated, if Peter Thiel's associated, if Trump's associated, if there are players that were making transactions with XNS at that time, and they had wallets named or done some things that would solicit that type of attention, the best way to mitigate that risk and defer that out so that it would fly under the radar would be to make it where those 32,000 ledgers that started the blockchain not visible to the public. So I don't think it's anything malicious. I don't think it's anything bad. I actually think if and when we are able to discover what's in those first 32,000 ledgers, I think it's going to be an aha moment for everybody. Like, oh, this was meant to happen the whole time. And I think that's what's in there and the reason for them hiding them or making them, not available to the public. KK Pond, my man. It was good to see you at the event here in Dallas. We do more in real life events where our community and the Mastermind than pretty much any other community in crypto. So if that sounds cool to you, you want to meet other cool people in your neck of the woods or from all over the world at our events, then again, join the Mastermind. I don't think you have that much time left if you want to be in there. And it is $2 if you want to join. If you use the code BeyondBroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO, like Mary Oscar, gets you the first month for $2 there in Carbon One or Social. And again, I would be proactive on that. I do not like to fearmonger. I do not like to do like sketchy marketing or any of that. I just really feel like things are going to move here. And if you do want to be part of that community and lock that in, I think that tonight is a great opportunity to do that. Because I don't know how much longer this is going to last. Exactly what he's talking about here. He says the 10-year is now at 1.842, climbing rapidly. Like we were at 1.81 when we started this stream an hour and a half ago, and now we're up another like that's moving aggressively to the upside. We could see the reverse carry trade unwind in the next 24 hours if it continues to move at this rate. And maybe we won't need oil, but maybe the oil will just be the icing on the cake, and it'll exacerbate things and tip it over the edge. So the reason it's climbing so fast is somebody's insolvent, and somebody has found out that somebody is insolvent. And they, they're selling bonds. They're selling the bonds there in Japan because they don't think they're going to get paid on them. the Bank of Japan is insolvent. And so, anyway, they're going to have to raise interest rates aggressively in the very near future. And everything that I've been talking about for the past 18 months is going to play out. I don't know how to impress upon you how quickly things are going to move when that happens. Trying to catch any more super chats here. We got Beyond Blessed. I love the name. They say, when setting up an Anchorage account, do you need a second account for fees? Would this be a second wallet in the LLC? Thanks for your drive and conviction and for helping us small fish change our family's future. Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words. No, you have a fiat account there that you can fund, send over, whatever you think the fees are going to be. The way that I like to do it, and again, this comes along with some additional considerations because there will be tax implications for this, but I just put an extra 2% XRP over there, and I know that that's what I'm going to pay my fees with. And if we get price appreciation, that'll go a long, long way, potentially 5 years worth of fees. But that's going to move with price appreciation. So let's say my fees are $2,000 a month right now. If XRP were to 10x, now my fees, they're going to drop because the price appreciation, and we have, reduced AUM fees as price appreciates. But it'd be 1/5 times 10, so it'd still be $4,000 a month. Like that's a lot of money for a lot of folks. And if you don't want to have to come up with that cash, because it will take a little bit to start earning returns and yield on the XRP, that's a consideration that you might make. And so that's what I've done. I've just funded the account with an extra 2% XRP so that I have that sitting there to be able to cover fees. I pay fees too, by the way. I'm a client. So I might be the owner, but I'm also a client. And that's why I've set everything up the way that I've set it up. So anyway, that's what I've done. But again, there's tax implications as the asset appreciates and you sell it off to cover fees. There's a little bit of tax associated with it. So just know that going in, but that's the way that I would do it to mitigate the risk of having to come out of pocket large amounts of cash in the future after appreciation, that you might not have until, we're able to generate returns. And we'll figure out solutions for people too, by the way. Like we know how this is. Most people are crypto rich and cash poor. We'll sort it out. All right, KK Pawn, we already did that one. Hey, this person is obviously from Hawaii. They say big aloha to the legend from Kauai. I was just in Kauai not that long ago. How soon before XRP decouples? BlackRock ETF are the two words I have for you, my man. BlackRock ETF is when XRP decouples. So I don't know if that's tomorrow. I don't know if it's next week, but I don't think BlackRock's going to sit idly by and let all of these other people make the fees on these XRP ETFs without throwing their hat in the ring. And they can do so pretty much at any time because there is an iShares XRP ETF trust that was filed in Delaware 2 years ago that's somewhere in the background that's not listed on the website anymore, that's been investigated by the DOJ for the past 2 years. And never heard anything about that or who did it or what happened. So that's still sat there, and they could file their S1 at any time and be ready to rock as long as it meets the specifications for the SEC now that they've standardized the spot ETF applications for crypto. So again, not too distant future, I think BlackRock's going to be here, and that's when we're going to see things decouple. Teddy says, don't know if you're Christian or not. I've read the book Revelations, talks about UBI, rise of digital currency, digital ID. Seems like we're in a prelude to the new financial system collapse that the Bible talks about. Yeah, I one world currency and all that stuff. Yeah, I could see that. Again, so a lot of the reason that I'm here and what I'm doing is to help people make sure that they can navigate this. Um, if you look at my name in Hebrew, it is Jacob. It means to supplant or hold the heel, lift others up. That's what I feel like I was put here to do. I do have close relationship with God, pray frequently, and talk to Him daily. So, and I feel like I'm walking in a purpose to do things that I've been put here to do. And I feel it's unique. Never felt like this ever before in my life before the last 5 years. Feel very guided. So if that tells you anything, I don't try to make that my platform. I don't come in here and talk about my relationship with God or preach or do any of those things. But it is definitely something that's near and dear to my heart, and definitely plays a big role in what I'm doing on a daily basis. So, but yeah, I think that we're going to go through some very, very unique times that have been foretold in the past. Mike, DFW Mike, my man, he says, hello again. Sebastian got back with me quickly today to buy more XRP through Anchorage. More flowers to the group. Thank you, man. I will pass those along. Sebastian is an awesome advisor on our side. Shout out to Max Avery. He worked with Sebastian before and brought him over, and he's just been a fantastic asset for our company and a great partner and teammate to have. And I will definitely pass those flowers along to him and say thank you for the fantastic service. We always get great feedback about a lot of our advisors and Sebastian in particular. So thank you for being a DWP client, and I'm excited that you got a little bit more XRP on the dip today. John says, will there be a Black Friday sale for the XRP enrollment? No. We already run pretty thin margins on that. I wish post price appreciation, there will be no discounts on the LLCs. They will go to $4,000. We'll add some additional services alongside that, what we do now. But we already offer a very steep discount for all the stuff that we include on the LLCs. Every time we've raised prices, we originally started doing them for like $400 2 years ago. And we didn't include anywhere near what we include now. And every time we've added more services, we've added additional costs for us. So the margins are pretty thin already. And unfortunately, I don't really have a way to drop it any lower than the $2,000 that we offer people with the current discount. So if you want to use that and be proactive, you absolutely can. Again, the code, if you want to go to digitalfamilyoffice.io, is 50 off 50 OFFDAG LLC. That's 50 OFFDAG LLC. Get you everything end to end for your LLC for $2,000. And post price appreciation, it will be $4,000. Adam, he says, bro, you will absolutely help well over 1 million people with your message and your time doing these videos. Much thanks for all that you do. Thank you, man. It's been wild to see the YouTube channel gain as much traction as it has. I mean, we're at like 160,000 subscribers. Like, if you had told me that a year ago, I would have been flabbergasted. I would have believed you. Like, you always have these intentions and you have this ambition, but like, again, just surreal. I don't feel like I'm special. I feel like I'm just another dude. And I've been really blessed to be in, a unique situation with a unique skill set and knowledge to be able to help a lot of people. And I've tried to cultivate my ability to be on video and articulate things well, and debate people and be able to bring good points. But all that's starting to pay off, and it, again, just really humbling. And I really, I'm young. I'm 34, and so I guess it's quite possible that we'd be able to reach 1 million people over my lifetime. But the cool part about it is the transcending through generations. Like, that's really what I want to perpetuate is, people become stewards of these assets and this capital and these investments that they've made, and pass that on. And they pass on the decision-making process and that ideology to their children, that they are stewards of the family's money and that this is for the family in perpetuity, and they're going to protect it and do the right things to be able to manage that capital over the long term, not the short term. If you view it as somebody else's money, you're going to make better decisions about it than you are if it's your money, right? At least most people. Some people are very frugal, and like my wife, she's great. She's very conservative with stuff, which I really do appreciate. But for most people, I think that they would be riskier with their own capital than they would somebody else's. So if you're a fiduciary for somebody else, and if you're raised with that mindset about the family's money, I think that you're going to be much better suited to one, perpetuate that into further generations, and then two, act accordingly over your lifetime to help make sure that this isn't squandered or lost by the third generation, which is what most people end up doing. So that's hopefully the legacy that I get to leave, and our company and what our ethos is. Thank you for the kind words, though, and I really do hope that this message does get out to people. I've put in, again, 14, 16-hour days for close to 4 years now, and it's starting to pay off, which is really cool to see. Troy Trey, interesting name. He says, one of the twins threw shade, discrediting institutional custody, explain why it's safer, and then the measures that would be taken if it goes bust, etc. Cheers, Jake. I don't know if you're talking about Verson and Vandel. I have a really good relationship with them. I highly doubt that they threw shade. Whatever they said was probably misconstrued. There was a point of contention between us and them, and we reconciled that. And I really don't think, I'm not going to talk poorly about them, and I don't think that they would talk poorly about us either. So that aside, I look at what we provide as a three-legged stool. Okay, so Anchorage is the institutional custodian that has the software and the trust licenses to be able to custody the assets and operate in a legal compliant manner. They're also bankruptcy remote, and they're federally chartered. So state chartered banks they can be also bankruptcy remote and have segregated instance for their custody solution. But if the creditors in a bankruptcy were to pull them to the federal level, their clients would become unsecured creditors. Highly unlikely that would happen. But that's why we chose Anchorage, is because they are federally chartered. And that's why Ripple has applied for a federal charter for their banking license also, because it's kind of like the high level standard for somebody that's operating in this space. So they provide institutional custody, segregated, bankruptcy remote, insured. So even if they were to go to bankrupt, there would be a bankruptcy proceeding. It would take a little while for you to get your assets, but those assets would be yours in the bankruptcy. You would never be a creditor of Anchorage, and it's highly unlikely that they're going to go bankrupt. They have somewhere between $600 and $700 million on their balance sheet. They also custody BlackRock's assets for their ETF. So if you want institutional custody, the same as BlackRock, Anchorage is the only option for that. So the other two legs of the stool, we're one of those legs at Digital Wealth Partners. We are an advisor. We countersign on the accounts for you. And if at one point we decided, we're gone, you want to move to another advisor, you can do that. You just move your account at Anchorage to the other advisor. So if we go out of business or you decide to part ways with us, all you got to do is list another advisor that's at Anchorage, and you could move your account over to them. And then last but not least, you are the third leg to that stool. God forbid something happens to you. You have beneficiaries on the account. You have your spouse on the account. They don't need to know anything about crypto, just like a Schwab account. The assets are transferred to them. They're not cashed out and given to them in cash, which I've seen many other exchanges and brokers do. They would receive the assets in kind, and they would take over the account there at Anchorage, and we would be their advisor. And that's important to me because I love my wife, and she's very intelligent. But she's starting to come around on the crypto thing, but she doesn't know how to use wallets. She doesn't know how to use exchanges. She wouldn't know, what to do with these assets to be able to preserve them and grow them over time. She might just liquidate it, which again would be her choice. And we would do that for our client, but we would be able to give them some advice to be able to help them through that situation. God forbid something happened to you. So there's always at least two legs of the stool standing, right? And that's the power that we have, or the difference, I think, between us and some of the other people out there that also offer good solutions, by the way. I wouldn't dog anybody. And I think in the past, some people have taken it that way. So I'm going to stay away from that. I'm just going to talk about what we do and how we do it and why I think it's awesome. So anyway, that's the difference in what we provide versus some of the other people on the market out there. This person says, confident you will earn yield, which earns you money quarterly. That's why you need it. Oh, well, and we have that. So I didn't mention that. We do have the ability to borrow against your assets if you want to, or margin them inside the account in a tri-party agreement, not with a smart contract. So you can get lines of credit with us against your assets. Interest rates aren't awesome, somewhere between 10 and 15%. LTVs 45 to 60%. Just depends on the asset and how much you're borrowing. And also which counterparty, because we have multiple counterparties that do tri-party custody with us to be able to lend on the asset. And then we also do have the hedge fund where you can be an accredited investor and earn returns on your XRP. The income funds paid 5% this year to the investors on that deal if they've been in since April. So people already have made 5% on their XRP in cash through the last 2 quarterly distributions that have participated in that opportunity. The growth fund, I think, is up 3% on the year if people were in since April of this year also. So they've compounded 3% more XRP than what they would have had otherwise that they put into the fund. So I don't think anybody else has all of those things combined. And I think that's probably what sets us apart from anybody else out there. And, we do the estate planning, we'll do taxes, we'll do all the other adjacent services that you would need if you were managing large amounts of money in crypto. And all of our advisors and partners have an expertise in crypto that, most other professionals don't have today because they don't spend much time on it. Matty G, what's up, dude? Hope you and your wife are well. He says, Jake, shotgun, dibs on the front seat for the rocket ship. Check out the 10-year now. Is it unwinding? I'll just pull it up over here. We got JPY 10-year yield. We are at 1.815. It is moving aggressively to the upside here. Let me look at the 5-day. What are we up on the 5-day here? I mean, 6% is not. I mean, like it's starting to move aggressively, but it's pulled back a little bit now from what it was just a few hours ago. Let's see, 1.85 on here, and we're back down to 1.81. I'm pretty confident we're going to have to see oil. Like, I think they're going to continue to be able to walk that line until oil happens, and then they're not going to be able to hold it back anymore. They're going to have to raise interest rates aggressively. We've got Anthony. He says, when the reverse carry trade unwinds and markets get crushed, what do you think XRP will drop to, and how long will markets be down? Again, I know people are going to try to time this and try to buy and sell and do all that stuff. I'm not going to play that game. I don't know. I'm not a TA guy. I just know what the outcome is. And the outcome is a very high price XRP. So you can do what you want and try to play the volatility if you want to. I'm not going to try to catch that falling knife. Again, I bought more today, like 205 was my buy today. So I'm happy with that. And I'm also happy with my bag at this point. If it's time to go, let's go. Josh says, what's up, my man? He says, thank you for everything that you do for the XRP family. What's your thoughts on XPR or Proton? That's another one that I'm probably just going to stay away from. People get mad when I talk about that and give my thoughts on it. So I'm just going to skip it. Thank you for the super chat. You could probably tell my opinion based on my response there. Wale says, hey, Jake, what do you think of Tether Gold? Is it safe long-term investment? I don't know if their audit's been complete on Tether Gold. I'd like to see, what firm they used as an audit firm to verify that it is actually backed by the amount of gold that they need to be able to back the issued tether. Possibly, if you want an allocation to gold, I think gold's going to pull back to $2,000 or $2,100 during the reverse carry trade. I think there's a lot of liquidity in gold that's been, put there from borrowed yen that's going to get sucked out of the market in the paper derivatives. Right now, gold is overpriced, in my personal opinion, in comparison to real estate and other assets or the stock market. You can look at gold versus those other assets, and it's actually above the mean over the last 70 years. So I like Mike Maloney. If you want to go watch Mike Maloney's channel, super brilliant guy. He's also kind of walks the line of digital assets and gold and silver. That's why I like Mike. He's super open-minded. And he had a whole series on like what money is. And he also has, what's the name of that video? He talks about arbitraging real estate and gold over time in another video. And that was really the first time I was exposed to gold being priced in other assets outside US dollars. So that's how I look at gold, is I price it in other assets, because dollars are inflationary and it's not a good representation of where it is in its cycle. Diamond Hands says, hi, Jake. Last question. How do you create yield with XRP? Lastly, after price appreciation, the billions worth of XRP you will be managing, will there still be room to pay 5% yield to everyone? We have enough partners in place to be able to do that on the yield product that we're going to be launching. As far as the returns that we pay people today, the way that that's structured, we've mitigated all counterparty risk and we've mitigated all volatility risk. There is still risk in the investment itself. The strategies that we run could lose money over a quarter, and we would have to sell a small amount of XRP to be able to cover those losses if that had taken place. It did take place the first quarter for the growth fund, but then the next month we made 5% and bought more than we had sold. So, I don't make, I'm trying not to make any representations of anything that aren't correct here. What we do is we aggregate the asset. You sign a subscription agreement to the hedge fund. We pool that. It stays in institutional custody. That value is then reflected off of the institutional custody account onto the counterparty exchange. So if the exchange went bankrupt or our partners have problems or whatever happens, the assets are still on our side in the account. So we mitigated counterparty risk. Now, the way we mitigate volatility risk is that reflected value, we draw a line of margin against it. And we only ever trade 40, 50% of that line of margin. So if there is volatility in the market like there was on 1010, they get out of positions and there's no capital called away. And that worked perfectly. We had no XRP called away on 1010, which was the largest liquidation that's ever happened in crypto, 9 times larger than Luna or anything else that's ever happened. So I was extremely happy. Like, everything that we put in place worked perfectly. We actually made money in the income fund on 1010 because we had short positions open on the market. So all that to say, that's the way we've orchestrated this. And it's exactly how the smart contracts will work on the XRPL. That's why I orchestrated it this way. You'll have pseudo accounts where you'll be able to reflect that value. Your assets will lock in your account. The reflected value can be contributed to a liquidity pool, which is exactly what our hedge fund is, which will have oversight and management by a counterparty that uses that liquidity to generate returns for the people that are participating in the pool. So we've done everything through institutional securities offering that's going to be exactly what happens on chain on the XRPL when they pass those amendments. And it does all the things that you want it to. It mitigates counterparty risk, mitigates volatility risk, assets aren't called away. Our number one rule at Digital Wealth Partners is don't lose XRP. The second rule is refer to rule number 1. So that's our number one objective, is wealth preservation. And then second is to grow that over time. And we structure things accordingly in order to do that. Now, any type of investment that you are making, there's going to be inherent risk. If there's upside, there's going to be some risk. And again, like I stated before, if our strategies were to underperform for a quarter, there is an opportunity to lose some XRP, which has already happened the first quarter that we ran the fund. But again, we're up 3% on the year for the fund. Both of these sub-advisors that we work with to be able to manage these market neutral strategies to generate returns have track records of 5 and 6 years in length, and the returns over that period are somewhere between 20 and 40% a year. Most of the time I would be skeptical of those types of returns, but they are audited by KPMG and Deloitte. They're legit. Like, we went through 25 different people when we were looking for these two that we started working with. And we did due diligence on tons of them. And we found these two that were actually like the real deal. And so again, you're not ever going to get that 20 to 40% because we only get 80% margin against the XRP. And we only ever trade 50 to about 50% of that line of margin in the strategies. So that's why, we're projecting somewhere between 5 and 20% a year on these strategies that we're going to be able to pay to our investors, which is, if you're mitigating all those risks, and there's just a little bit, like on a risk curve, 1 to 10, I would say the risk is about a 1.8. There is a small amount of risk, but it's very low in comparison to, any of the other opportunities in the market, in my opinion. If you're participating in a smart contract of any kind, I think your risk is at least 1.8. If you're giving up the asset to any other counterparty, there's counterparty risk. The smart contract could be hacked. There's no insurance on the smart contract. And that's why we haven't participated in DeFi quite yet. But we will be in the near future as we shore up those risks as well. All right. That was a mouthful. Hopefully you guys hung out for it. We're going to wrap it up here in about 5 minutes. We got Casey Wilson. He or she, not sure which one. Sorry on the they them thing. I just don't want to say the wrong sex here. You have mentioned in the past that about a family LLC. Who do we talk to for this? I'm currently customer of DWP. My parents will not have enough unless I partner with them. I have several coins set aside to go 50-50. So we can set you up a family limited partnership. It is a little more expensive. But since you already have one of the LLCs, talk to Laughlin, whoever you worked with over at Laughlin, to do your paralegal work on your LLC. There are a paralegal group that we work with. They would be able to help navigate that for you and help you establish a family limited partnership to manage your assets and include your parents to be able to get them into institutional custody like you're looking for. We've got Presto. They say, thank you for the super chat. They say, I hold 2 cold wallets that hold the majority of my XRP and about 500 XRP on Robinhood, Coinbase, and Kraken. I've kept those in those accounts so that I can quickly sell some when price pumps. Thoughts? I mean, if that's your exit strategy, you never go broke taking profits. My only concern with that is the wealthiest people that I know don't sell assets. They, use them to generate cash flow. They use them to, access depreciation, to be able to offset tax implications. And then they leverage them. They borrow against them to get tax-free money. So depending on how much XRP you have and what your goals are, again, a lot of different contexts there that might make sense. You might have the perfect plan for you. I would talk to a financial advisor. And again, if you want to talk to somebody at DWP, I'm sure that they would be happy to do that. And with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap it tonight. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Wednesday to come hang out with me and ask fantastic questions. Again, not trying to fearmonger, but I really do think we're here. Things look like they're going to move aggressively from here. And I don't want people to lose out on participating in the mastermind if they want to do that. So highly recommend, if you think what I'm doing is cool and you want to learn more about all that and get access to everything that we have there, you can go to beyondbroke.com and use the code beyondbroke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO like Mary Oscar to get everything for $2 to get started. And then in addition to that, like I said, on the other side of a $10 XRP, it's over. We're locking it down. There are no more new members. It's invite only, and it's going to be very expensive to participate in the community. If you need the LLC to be able to manage your digital assets and you want to work with us on that, again, there are other attorneys and groups out there that do it. Reach out to them also. But if you want to work with us, it's $2,000 if you use the code 50 off 50 OFFDAG LLC. That's 50 OFFDAG LLC. And then last but not least, if you have at least 50,000 XRP or $500,000 in total portfolio value, you can work with us at Digital Wealth Partners. You do need to set up a trust or an LLC because Anchorage only works B2B or with business accounts. And you can do that by going to digitalwealthpartners.net. And again, the webinar tomorrow, if you guys are a veteran or first responder, please go check that out. The link to the Luma is there in the mastermind. Again, if you join Social or Carbon One, you should be able to find it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful night, and Merry Christmas. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful holiday in the near future, and we'll see you on the next one.